Hello, beautiful people of the fragrance community. Mike here with iSMELL. Hope this video finds you well. For those of y'all who are not already aware of who I am or what we do here, allow me to introduce myself. Again, my name is Mike, and I am in fact a professional fragrance reviewer. And by professional fragrance reviewer, what I mean is that I buy fragrances, smell them, and then give my completely subjective opinions on them. If that is something that you think you would be interested in, I am going to encourage you to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell. Not only is it going to strengthen the YouTube algorithm, it also ensures that you're able to stay tuned in to future content that I upload. For those of y'all who are already subscribed and are returning, thank you. I really do appreciate it. I do not take your time for granted. We are, as of the date of this recording, at 160 subscribers, and we are well on our way to 200. Again, thank you for all the support. I really do appreciate it, you guys. Okay, so I am what you would call a frugal fragrance collector, and what I mean by that is that given the opportunity to get a fragrance for a fraction of the cost, yet it smells strikingly similar to a more expensive fragrance, I'm inclined to go the more cost-effective route. That is essentially what the concept of this video is today. Today on iSMELL, we're going to be comparing 3 different fragrances. 2 of those fragrances can be got at a cost-effective price. The third fragrance is a fragrance that is $250 at the baseline and can be anywhere and upwards up to $400. Today we're going to be comparing and contrasting Rochas Moustache with a fragrance that is getting some hype in the community from Samy Andraus called Brown Sapphire, and we'll be comparing these 2 fragrances to a fragrance that is at least $250 from YSL called YSL Tuxedo. We have quite a bit of information to get through in this review, you guys. I'll see y'all on the other side of the intro. Okay, so before we go any further in this review, I do want to preface by stating that I am in fact a relatively new channel. The channel is only 2 months old. I state that because it is a fact that I have been a consumer of fragrance-related content way longer than I have been a curator of fragrance-related content. That is important to note because a reoccurring theme I see in the fragrance community are people who consume fragrance-related content being disenfranchised with the influencers within the fragrance community due for their inability to be honest when it comes to getting product that they receive for free. For some reason, they risk avert and they aren't as honest as they should be when it relates to reviewing and giving their honest thoughts on fragrances. Just be aware that although I did receive Brown Sapphire for free from Samy Andraus, this is not a sponsored video and I am not a shill. I am going to give my complete and unbiased opinions on this fragrance. Just be aware that I'm not going to shit on a fragrance just for the sake of shitting on a fragrance. That doesn't make sense, you guys. Okay, now that I'm off my soapbox, let's actually compare and contrast these fragrances. Okay, so just a bit of information about these fragrances. YSL Tuxedo is going to be the originator of these 3 fragrances. It was launched in 2015. Rochas Moustache followed suit. It was launched in 2018. And the newest of these fragrances is going to be the Samy Andraus Brown Sapphire. Brown Sapphire was launched in 2021. All 3 of these fragrances are eau de parfums. They are all EDPs. This is important to note because eau de parfums tend to have a higher concentration of oils and are said to perform better in general. This is compared to the more traditional EDTs, eau de toilettes. Just be aware all 3 of these fragrances are EDPs. They all 3 also share a very similar scent profile. What's important to note here is that out of the 2, the YSL Tuxedo and the Samy Andraus Brown Sapphire, at least on paper in terms of the listed notes, draw the closest comparison. Okay, so notes that Brown Sapphire and Tuxedo share will include violet, coriander, bergamot, black pepper, lily of the valley, patchouli, vanilla, and ambergris. It's very apparent that Brown Sapphire means to emulate YSL Tuxedo, and Samy does a successful job at conveying this. Where these 2 fragrances diverge, however, is that Tuxedo has a rosy nuance, a rose note specifically that this fragrance and scent profile is known for, and Brown Sapphire does not contain the listed note of rose, nor do I smell it in the fragrance. It's because of that Brown Sapphire is noticeably less sweeter than Tuxedo, and it's less sweeter than Rochas Moustache in general. Rochas Moustache is an interesting fragrance in and of itself, as it does a successful job of smelling like Tuxedo. However, many of the listed notes in Rochas Moustache differentiate from both Brown Sapphire and Tuxedo. Okay, so the notes that Rochas Moustache share with Tuxedo and Brown Sapphire include vanilla as well as patchouli. What's important to note here is that Rochas Moustache does also contain rose, which Tuxedo will as well. So the only one of these three fragrances which doesn't contain rose is the Brown Sapphire. If rose notes are something that you don't enjoy, you might gravitate more towards the Brown Sapphire. But if that rosy nuance is something that you enjoy, then Tuxedo or Rochas Moustache is going to be the better option. Just be aware that it is interesting in terms of Rochas Moustache that it smells like Tuxedo, because there are quite a bit of notes which neither one of these other two fragrances have. Rochas Moustache has pink pepper, whereas the other two have black pepper. The pink pepper is going to create a rosy nuance, and it is going to make this fragrance more sweet than the other two. Rochas Moustache also has the note of cedar. It also has the note of mandarin oranges, and it will also contain benzoin, which the other two fragrances don't. Okay, so let's talk about the availability as well as the price point for all three of these fragrances. Out of the three, I'm inclined to say that the YSL Tuxedo is going to be the least accessible to the mass consumer for a couple reasons. The first reason is the price point. The price point baseline is going to be $250, and at the higher end, you're going to see this fragrance selling for at least $450. This is because, for one, this fragrance is part of YSL's luxury/private line, so you're not going to be able to find it at the discount vendors, and you're not going to be able to find it at your local Macy's, Nordstrom's, or Neiman Marcus. It's for that reason that people aren't able to get this fragrance as readily available as the other two, and because you can't really find a vendor selling it right now, you have to go to eBay, and then they're going to jack up the prices. So out of the three, I would say that the Tuxedo is the least accessible. Okay, so as it relates to the Rochas Moustache, this was a fragrance that was widely available earlier this year, but since it has gained some hype within the community, you're not going to be able to find it as easily as, for example, Brown Sapphire. I was unable to find a vendor, a discount vendor for Rochas Moustache. You will have to go to eBay to purchase this fragrance as well, and it's because of that reason you're seeing the prices anywhere from $70 to $100. If you are able to wait, you might be able to find it at a good price. When I purchased this fragrance earlier this year, I bought it for about $40 to $50. Dollar for dollar, you are going to get the best bang for your buck with Rochas Moustache. This is a 4-ounce bottle, so dollar for dollar, you are getting the most juice for the price point. Last but definitely not least is the Samy Andraus Brown Sapphire. Of the three, this one is going to be the most widely accessible fragrance, and again, it is an EDP, so you are getting good performance as you do with all of Samy's fragrances. Brown Sapphire is not excluded in that. The price point for this fragrance is going to be approximately $30 for 30 mils. So if you are looking for a fragrance with a similar scent profile to Tuxedo, Brown Sapphire is not going to let you down. However, there are some noticeable differences with Brown Sapphire versus the other two. So I would not consider any of these three fragrances as a challenging scent profile. However, if you're the type of person who gravitates towards mass appealing freshies, this is a scent profile in general that I would recommend you buying a sample of prior to purchasing a full bottle. You can purchase a sample for about $10, and when I say $10, I'm referring to YSL Tuxedo. I would recommend you purchasing that sample versus the other two for the simple fact that it was the first one to come out, and it will give you an accurate baseline as to how all of these three fragrances smell in general. Again, a 3 ml decant will cost you about $10 to $15. I would refer you to Chef Mo for a decant. or you can go to eBay. Just make sure you're finding a reputable vendor. Okay, so the overall demeanor of all three of these fragrances is going to be a warm, spicy scent with a vanillic and almost boozy demeanor in the dry down. They do all three though have strikingly different various degrees of sweetness. This is due to the Brown Sapphire lacking that rose note, and then Rochas Moustache having the mandarin oranges as well as the benzoin note. How this is going to work is I have 3 scent strips. I will spray the opening, and then I have 3 different scent strips that I already sprayed the dry down on these fragrances. I will also do a compare and contrast as to how they smell, and I will do a blind test to see if I can smell on camera and differentiate between the 3. Unfortunately, I will not be able to speak on the atomizer for YSL Tuxedo as I do not have a full bottle. Just be aware that the Rochas Moustache, the atomizer on Rochas Moustache is acceptable. It has a wide distribution of juice, and the Samy Andraus Brown Sapphire is a fire hydrant. Every single one of his fragrances have an amazing atomizer. All right, let's spray these fragrances. The first one I'm going to spray is the Rochas Moustache. The second one I'm going to spray is the YSL Tuxedo. And the third one I'm going to spray is the Brown Sapphire. 2 sprays for each, that should be sufficient. Okay. I'm going to smell the Rochas first. Okay, so of these 3 fragrances, I'm inclined to say that Rochas Moustache and YSL Tuxedo bear the closest similarities. This is due to both of these fragrances having a rose note. It does feel like there's something missing with the Brown Sapphire, and that is most likely due to there not being a rose note as a listed component within this fragrance. Of the 3 fragrances, the Brown Sapphire is the least sweet of the 3. This is surprising because in general, on paper alone, in terms of the listed notes, you would think Brown Sapphire and YSL Tuxedo would smell the most close. However, of the 3, I say Rochas Moustache and YSL Tuxedo are the closest related in terms of their scent profile. However, they all smell strikingly similar, and it's apparent they are all from the same vein. They all share a very similar scent profile. I'm also inclined to state that although I enjoy the sweetness in the opening in general of Rochas Moustache the most, I do feel and I can concede that the YSL Tuxedo is the best blended of the 3 fragrances. All in all, again, I feel like your best bang for your buck is the Rochas Moustache with the Brown Sapphire followed closely behind. Of these 3, I feel like the Brown Sapphire is going to project and perform the best. So now I have all 3 of these fragrances. I will do a blind smell, and we're just gonna see if I can do this. Okay. This might be kind of awkward. All right, let's see. All right, so I feel like this one is the Brown Sapphire. I'm not sure if that conveys or not. We'll see. I'm gonna put this over to the left. I feel this is the Rochas Moustache because it's a little bit heavier and a little bit sweeter. And then I feel the YSL Tuxedo, although it's better blended, it's more faint and it's not as sweet. So let's see. Is this the YSL Tuxedo? Yes, this is the YSL Tuxedo. The first one that I chose was the Brown Sapphire. That's right. And then Rochas Moustache. So in a blind test, I can differentiate and tell the difference between the 3. That is because Brown Sapphire of the 3 is the least sweet. The most sweet is the Rochas Moustache. And then although it's the best blended, it's way more faint as it relates to YSL Tuxedo. To the uninitiated nose, I don't know if they'll be able to tell the difference, but I put my nose on these fragrances enough to be able to tell the difference between them. Okay, so as it relates to the dry down, just be aware that there is not going to be a ton of development with any of these fragrances. What you get in the dry down is the fragrance will warm up, it will get creamier, it will get smoother, it's less spicy, but what conveys through is the boozy note that this fragrance is known for. I do anticipate of the three, the Brown Sapphire will still be the least sweet. Again, let me reiterate that if you don't like rose notes, floral notes of rose in your fragrance, you are going to be inclined towards the Brown Sapphire. Let's talk about what I smell before I do a blind smell. First, I have the Rochas Moustache. Okay, so these fragrances are all at least 90% similar. They have been drying down for at least 3 hours at this point. I would state that the Brown Sapphire I feel like is going to perform and project the most. The Rochas Moustache is slightly stronger in terms of it still being sweet, and then the YSL Tuxedo is faint at this point. I do not feel that for $250 to $400 that you should spend that money when you can achieve a very similar scent profile for a lot less. All right, I'm gonna blind smell all these. I would not be surprised if I got it wrong. Okay, I'm gonna smell this one first. Okay, the first one I feel like this is the Brown Sapphire. I feel like this is the Rochas. And the third one, due to it being faint, I feel like it's the Tuxedo. Let's see. No, it's not. See, I was wrong. Rochas Moustache and Tuxedo, I could not tell them apart. I could tell the Sapphire, and that's because it's less sweet. So there you go, you guys. You can achieve a very similar scent profile with Rochas Moustache as you would with YSL Tuxedo. YSL Tuxedo is going to cost you $400. Rochas Moustache is going to cost you, on the other hand, $70 to $90, and you're going to get 4 ounces. You are going to get a ton of juice. Okay, so my final thoughts are that you can achieve a very similar scent profile with either Rochas Moustache and or Brown Sapphire as you would with YSL Tuxedo. If you're a hardcore frag head, by all means get the Tuxedo, but for everybody else, don't break the bank, just get Rochas Moustache. I personally feel of the three, this one smells the best, you guys. If you want a more in-depth review of Rochas Moustache, I will refer you to the video where I did an in-depth review. I will provide it at the end of this video. Tyler over at Simply Fragrances tagged me, and I included and showcased this fragrance as a what would you wear Christmas edition 2021. So if you want more information as it relates to Rochas Moustache, please check that out. All right, you guys, so that's my compare and contrast video in a nutshell. If you enjoyed this video, if you enjoy fragrance related content specifically, I am going to encourage you one more time to subscribe to my channel. Be aware that my next 2 videos will include one where I compare White Sapphire from Samy Andraus to Hasavat by Nishane, and then I will be comparing Green Sapphire with a fragrance that it means to emulate, Bleecker Street. So those are the next 2 videos that I will be uploading, so stay tuned for that. Again, I thank y'all. I don't take y'all's time for granted. I really do appreciate y'all. Till next time, you guys, y'all take care. Stay safe. Bye.